Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Friday, the 22nd of November, 2024. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. So let's get cracking with story number 1. Commonwealth Bank just keeps giving to investors, closing at a record high today of $159.03. It is up more than 50% over the last year. That is quite incredible. The S&P ASX 200 finished the week at a new high as well of 8,394 points. It's up a pretty remarkable 20% in the last year. Now, it did look like it was going to close above 8,400 points for the first time ever. And watching the market as it was creeping towards 4 o'clock, suddenly it dipped below. So we didn't quite make it this week, but you never know. Next week could be something different. The story, though, behind it all is pretty much unchanged. The banks and tech stocks just keep surging. Today, strengthening oil prices on concerns about Russia and Ukraine exchanging missiles boosted Woodside, Santos, and some of the coal companies. Bullion prices also rallied on the back of rising geopolitical tensions, pushing the gold miners higher. There's plenty of corporate news around today. The A2 Milk Company surged as much as 17% after lifting revenue guidance and announcing it would start paying dividends thanks to stronger than expected sales and higher dairy prices globally. Resolute Mining rose after its chief executive and 2 other employees were released by Mali's government. And software company Megaport was among the worst performers despite reaffirming its earnings outlook for the financial year. On to story number 2 now, and WiseTech's billionaire founder Richard White fronted the company's virtual AGM today, saying he deeply regretted the impact recent media attention has had on people around him and on shareholders. His comments came as WiseTech Global downgraded its annual revenue guidance, sending its share price down close to 16% at one point throughout the day, before it finished down 12.4%. The chair of the company partially blamed the downgrade on the diversion of founder Richard White's attention in the lead up to his exit from the company. He said, "I need to say that the board is disappointed that the diversion of Richard White's attention away from product development at a critical juncture has impacted the timing of the release of some of the 3 breakthrough products." That's the end of the quote. Mr. White resigned from WiseTech's executive and board in late October following a string of allegations about his personal life. We've gone into those in some detail throughout the course of Fear and Greed. He has moved into a consulting role, reporting to the board with the title of founder and founding CEO. He will maintain his $1 million a year salary. Story number 3, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers says he is not concerned about Elon Musk's criticism of the Albanese government's planned social media ban for children under 16. His comments came after Mr. Musk, who of course owns social media site X and says he is a free speech libertarian, accused the government of surreptitiously trying to dominate the online lives of its citizens. He tweeted, or X'd, I suppose, "Seems like a backdoor way to control access to the internet by all Australians." He was responding to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's post heralding the proposed changes to laws that will ban social media for under 16-year-olds. Chalmers said Mr. Musk's comments were, quote, "entirely unsurprising," saying the government's job wasn't to please Elon Musk, but to place necessary protections for kids online. On to story number 4 now, and Foreign Minister Penny Wong has backed the International Criminal Court's decision to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as an alleged war criminal. The warrant obliges the government to arrest Netanyahu should he set foot in Australia. The ICC overnight issued warrants for Netanyahu and Israel's former defense minister, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity over Israel's conduct in the war against terror group Hamas in Gaza, which has resulted in thousands of civilian casualties, including starving the civilian population, according to the AFR. The court also issued a warrant for a senior Hamas official, one of the masterminds of last year's October 7 terror attack that killed 1,200 people in southern Israel, saying there were reasonable grounds to believe that he was responsible for murder, torture, kidnappings, and rape and sexual violence. Israeli officials believe they killed the commander of Hamas's military wing in a July airstrike, but Hamas has denied that he's dead, although they have not actually produced any evidence that he is, in fact, still alive. And finally, story number 5, US President-elect Donald Trump has nominated Pam Bondi. Not Bondi, it's written like Bondi. It's going to take some getting used to saying Bondi instead for Attorney General, just hours after Matt Gaetz, his initial pick, withdrew from consideration for the role. The new Attorney General will need to be confirmed by a majority of US senators. Bondi is a two-term state attorney general from Florida. She's seen it as a less controversial pick than Gaetz, who had limited legal experience and was previously under investigation by the Department of Justice, which he would have run, for allegedly having a sexual relationship with an underage girl. While no charges were ever brought, he was also the subject of a long-running congressional investigation into alleged sexual misconduct and drug use. The investigation was shelved when Gaetz resigned his congressional seat last week, according to the Financial Times. Gaetz has denied all allegations of wrongdoing. Bondi is a long-time Trump ally who was part of his legal defense team in his first impeachment trial and defended the president-elect's efforts to question the result of the 2020 election. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 22nd of November 2024. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the weekend edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.